We're here for one reason, one central purpose. The most powerful country in the world, with the power to annihilate the push of a button all of humanity, is just weeks away from an election that the president who is running for re-election has said is invalid and that he's preparing to steal. This is not just a president or a reactionary Republican, as we see in most elections, between two parties, neither of which represent the interests of the masses of humanity. But in this election, we are facing something different. We are facing a regime that is a fascist regime that, should they stay in power, will bring a fascist America, and that has real meaning and real difference for people here and all around the world.
All right, this is Pete on the street.
And this is Luan with the RNL Show, and we're out here as a part of Dispatch with the RNL Show to show people what is actually going on here in Los Angeles, Pershing Square, where the call by Refuse Fascism has been made for people to come every day. So today, behind us, there's these cages and people in them representing what is actually happening at the border with immigrants who are being detained. And we're bringing to light and showing, highlighting, look at what's happening right now, you know, by this regime disrupting the normalization right out into the front square. So we're calling on people to step into this as a part of the whole fight to drive out this regime now.
That's right, we're calling on you. And this is not just a showing of what is happening out here, but we're calling on you, and we're going to be going to these interviews of people who are here participating in the cage and why you need to be a part of this. So let's go to the footage.
So we're kicking off 48 hours of a dramatic visualization of what is actually happening at the concentration camps that, you know, as we've seen for the past couple of years, right, that they've actually implemented this family separation, putting children in literal cages that look just like this.
This is Refuse Fascism organization. It's an organization just by ordinary people from everywhere. It's across the country. It's just refusing the Trump administration and anyone who supports the fascist administration that Trump has created in America today.
What brought me out here is to bring attention and awareness to what's going on with ICE, in those detention centers with ICE. All those immigrants that are locked up, including the little children that are in inhumane conditions and in cages like locked animals. And unfortunately, the media has lost touch with that. They stopped covering that story like it just never happened. People now today, they're just walking around like nothing's going on, and that's not right. There's madness, there's evil right here in front of our doorstep, and we want to make awareness of this, and we want to let the people know that this is unacceptable.
I wanted to be part of this because everything that I care about, Black Lives Matter, women's rights, immigration rights, LGBT, gay and lesbian rights, everything is under attack. Humanity's under attack. And if we don't act up, if we don't stand up, then this fascist regime is going to take over.
Everyone thinks that voting is going to be enough. And we have to vote. You know, we have to get out there and we have to vote in order to get this regime out of power. But we know that voting's not enough. And so we really need to create a mass movement that is going to be saying Trump, Pence out now. Trump, Pence out now. Not on January 20th, but now, because we don't know what kind of new atrocities that can be committed between now and January 20th.
If we actually allow this to continue, and if we actually allow Donald Trump to destroy the elections and implement its fascist program, this is going to be the normal. And this is why we're out here to both puncture through the normalization of, you know, people accepting what has been happening, but both here we are in a moment when rapidly approaching the elections. Donald Trump is completely destroying those elections that people are relying on. And he's not backing down from these attacks against immigrants, but they're actually intensifying it, right? And some reports that are showing that these family separations was not an accident, but it was very intentional. This is a genocidal program, and you know, and it's on us to actually act in our millions to stop this before Donald Trump is able to completely destroy the election and implement its fascist program.
What I hate about fascism is that they focus, always have, it doesn't matter in what country you see it on, either in Europe, in Central America, what's going on right now in America. It has always focused on immigrants. It has always focused on racist bigotry. It has always focused on trying to undermine people's rights. And we cannot let that happen in America.
Today, as you've seen, we have individuals in cages, and those cages represent what are happening to people every single day. As we wake up in our homes, this is happening where parents are being separated from their children in the sake of just because they were born. Just because they were born, it doesn't mean that you're not welcome here. It's really saddened me, and to see that children are segregated from their parents is modern day slavery.
And looking at everybody looking at these cages, and it just makes me sad. It makes me sad because it makes us feel like we're zoo animals. And what's worse is that this is happening not only to adult immigrants, but to little kids. Little kids, this is unacceptable. Little kids should not be in these types of situations. Little kids should not be in these types of conditions. And yeah, this may look funny, but this is not a funny situation. We got plenty of kids dying, plenty of women having procedures done without their consent. This is an atrocity that needs to be put to rest now. And this, who's winning? Who is winning because of this happening? Trump and Pence are the ones that are benefiting from us being locked up behind cages like animals. Now, if you have a heart, you know that this is not right. It could be your kids, it could be your grandma, it could be your uncle. People of my color behind cages just because they want to have a better future.
Because he has already told you, and he has shown you, that even if he loses an election, he will try to nullify it through the courts, through machinations, and through intimidation by these fascist thugs. So voting is essential in this election, but it is not enough, and if that is all you do, you are collaborating with the fascist regime. There's only one way to stop this, and that is us getting organized out into the streets of this country every day from now until the election, assuming they don't get rid of him before then, because of our pressure, but we haven't built up sufficient pressure to make that happen yet. But if he's still there, we are going to need a tremendous power of masses of people that cross all political, all different social, all different gender, all different nationality lines to say, Trump, Pence, out now.
Sitting in this cage, I've only been here for 2 hours, and I can't imagine, like, days and days and days, and these are children. Like, where is humanity? Where are our hearts? This is not who we are as a country. Like, this is not okay.
I'm shaking a lot. I'm very physically, very physically and mentally just trying to figure out how to stop it. Because just being in here like this, just even for a few hours, it just changes your perspective on a lot. The truth keeps getting uglier and uglier and uglier. Horrible things are happening to women. It is the least I can do to show up and just use my voice and to encourage others to take action. It is the least I can do to put myself in this cage and show people what is really going on. This is true. This is what our government is doing.
From a 17-year-old boy, I was very frightened and scared. I cried, separated from their families. I was apprehended with my father. The immigration agent separated me from my father right away. I was very frightened and scared. I cried. I have not seen my father again. I have had a cold and cough for several days. I have not seen a doctor, and I have not been given any medication. 5-year-old boy. They took us away from our grandmother, and now we are all alone. They have not given us to our mother. We have been here for a long time. I have to take care of my little sister. She is very sad because she misses our mother and grandmother very much. We sleep on a cement bench. There are 2 mats in the room, but the big kids sleep on the mats, so we have to sleep on the cement bench.
I migrated in 2006. I was hardly 13 years old, and this wasn't happening. It was bad, yes, but it's not as bad as it is right now. What we did today is very important because we need people to have the visual. We need visuals. We need the people to see what actually happening. I share my my own experience with in an ICE detention camp. When I was young, I came to this country and I had to go to the system in order to be here in front of you. So it was bad back then, but it's even more horrible and diabolic right now. They're taking people's reproductive organs out. The same that the Nazis did in Germany. The same that they did out there, they're doing it here.
Why are their pants bloody? Because in one of these concentration camps, women's uteruses were taken from them. Not explained. Let me just say this to you. When Donald Trump was in Minnesota and he said to the white people in that audience, "We have good genes," did you understand the relationship between that and these bloody pants? If you didn't, I will tell you. A fascist regime that is a white supremacist regime is preparing and is already carrying out the beginnings of a genocide. This is social Darwinism. This is saying this survival of the fittest. This fucking maniac got out there yesterday, I don't care what steroid he's on, and said, you know, I'm a perfect physical specimen. This is Nazi ideology. This is fascist ideology, and this is why people of color are having their wombs ripped out of their bodies.
I'm also here to represent for my nephew, Dejan Kazee. He was murdered by 2 police officers, and it's, once again, the systemic racism. Do some action, and once again, I can't emphasize enough, the action is showing up, coming out. These are peaceful protests, they're peaceful demonstrations. Don't believe the narrative about people getting hit by cars and people looting. There's no looting here. We're not burning any buildings up. We're right in front of a storefront, and we're voicing our opinion, and we're letting it be heard. Usually when something happens, bad that happens, if they don't want it to get out and they want it to go away, be quiet, be quiet. But now is not the time to be quiet. Now is the time to talk intelligently and peacefully. So come out and join some of the protests.
We're not talking about hundreds of people. We're not talking about even thousands of people. All of that's good. But we're really talking about, millions of people, making it clear that they do not want to continue the motions that we've made in this country toward a fascist America. They want the Trump-Pence regime and this fascist regime out of office right now.
So that just brings me to how are we going to do this? How are we going to actually do this? Let's be honest, there's not that many of us here. How do the few of you become the many? Well, this is part of the answer, what the 2 sisters are doing here. This is part of the answer. This is putting it in people's face what this actually means today, and far worse should he stay in power. It's forcing people to confront that. It's taking some bold actions. This is one kind, there's others. Taking some bold actions, and particularly doing that in the town square, wherever that is, in a central place where we're going to be every day. So people who feel the way you feel that brought you out today on Saturday, see this as a magnet and they come. And then, once they get here, they have to be turned into what Michelle was calling grassroots organizers. That means going out and organizing people just like yourselves to come down to the square. When you organize people, You probably got to argue with them. I talked to a lot of people this morning. You got to argue with them because they think somebody else is going to take care of this. They're hoping that the election works out. Here's something else that's happening to people right now. People are being deceived by the delusions of the mainstream media, who are telling you Trump is winning, Biden is winning by a lot. He's winning now, he's up in the polls even less than Hillary Clinton was. But this is not over. And you can't rely on that because he's going to steal the election. You have to make that case to people and struggle with them to come out. So that's two things. One, we're in the central square. We're doing things. We got to take some bold actions, become a pole of attraction. Two, we've got to go out and organize people. But wait, by itself, that isn't going to get us where we need to go. That won't get us where we need to go. So what's the magic sauce in here? Well, there's no magic, but there is a sauce. And here's the sauce. The sauce is this. Every day, this regime is committing another egregious and outrageous and criminal crime. Every day, people are being jolted. We, acting in the center of town, demonstrating in neighborhoods, calling people out, are acting on that stage and saying every single thing he does is another reason you should be out here. And that's one part of it. The other part of what's happening is that the Democratic Party is not fighting Trump the way he needs to be fought. That's in this pamphlet, Voting Will Not Be Enough. We need to take to the streets and stay in the streets demanding Trump Pence Out Now by Baba Vacant. Read part 3 of this. Because the Democrats will not wage a campaign that could really rouse the enthusiasm of people to defend black lives, to defend the environment, to go up against the white supremacy that is at the root of the oppression and police murder of black people and Latino people. It's at the root of the demonization of immigrants. It's at the root of what they're doing to women and LGBTQ people and to the environment. They will not fight it on that basis. They want to fight it on issues we can all reach across the aisle on, like health care. I'm for health care too. Your health care sucks, but it does make a difference if there is the Affordable Care Act. But that's not the grounds to get the enthusiasm of people. They're not fighting this the way it needs to be fought. And in fact, Biden has told you that he doesn't want you going out after the election because it's going to be settled by the votes. So he's told you this, and all these Democratic mass organizations, Move On, Indivisible, they're going to be listening to that. And they're mainly not preparing for the kind of struggle. You can't prepare to fight this kind of fascist movement on one day's notice. Are you kidding me? These people are armed, they're organized, they're training. We need to have a movement of the many people that's nonviolent, sustained protest, day after day, up to the election, and then after the election. So that we create a situation where people who are in power, who are basically towing the line and are themselves afraid of what Trump is doing, would do to them, are forced in that situation to say, we better do something about this because now we got a bigger problem. We got a bigger problem. We got the masses of people in the streets, which is what we saw in June and July. You don't know the power you had in June and July. You've got to think about what power you had. That's not being summed up correctly. Oh, we did June and July. Now we can go change some local ordinance, which of course you should change these local ordinances around chokeholds and all of this. But you changed the discussion in this country to admit that this is a white supremacist society from its inception. People did not say that in power ever before that. That's because of what you did. Now we need that same power in the streets. We are not just aiming to be in the town square every day doing things like this. This is to awaken the people so that we get tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands and eventually millions of people in the street to say, no, this Trump-Pence regime must go, and now. That's what we're doing.
So I ask you, brothers and sisters, are we going to accept this? That's right. And how we do that right now is, yes, by showing up, and it's important that you showed up today. And it's also by going to get all of those people that I'm sure you know, even if you don't know them, even if they're total strangers to you. Going and get those people and organizing them today. We got these organizing kits. People don't need experience. People don't have to have been activists for years and years. People can even be very brand new to politics. All they need is a heart for humanity, and they can take this up in very basic ways. There's a role for everybody to play in this starting now. We cannot wait, brothers and sisters. We have to do this now, and we have to do this together. Trump, Pence,